Hey fellow unicorns, Cory here to give you a quick tutorial on how to use the Allen&Heath Zedi 10 FX mixer. Super exciting. So basically, the very first thing that we're going to go over is how to power on and power off the mixer. I will not be powering off the mixer in this tutorial because right now you're hearing my voice through the mixer itself. So to show you, to demonstrate, on the back of the mixer here we have our power button. It's as simple as powering it off and turning the switch off or on. That's all there is to it. So now that we've got that covered, let's continue on. What you want to do when you first receive your mixer is zeroing it out and making sure that you're starting from a fresh slate, basically. So as you can see on this first channel, I have some EQ and stuff set up for the microphone that I currently have set on. On everything else here, we want to start fresh. So we're going to start with our gain, and we're going to turn that down. We're going to make sure all our little buttons here are pressed out. And then we're going to go through our EQ section, which is the blue knobs, and we're going to make sure that everything is at 0. And we can do that by feeling the center indented position there. Do the same for your auxiliary, although for the auxiliary there's no actual indent. You're simply going to turn it all the way to the left, indicating 0. For the effects, same thing. Pan knob, which is showing you whether the signal is going to the left channel or the right channel, you'll want to have dead center as well, and starting off with your mix level at 0. And we're going to do that for every single channel that we see on the mixer. Boom, 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 boom. 0, 0, 0. And this gives us a pretty good starting point to go forward.
A quick pause. I'm just going to turn off autofocus because when your hands move around, it
right.
jumps in and out. It's the easiest way to do this. What's going to be this? Pull this around. I was going, I'm like, this is going to be a pain in the ass.
Number 80. Toot, 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 toot. Weird. 2 symphony. Whoa. That's an interesting effect. It's like all like, it's like phasey. Like, 2, 2, 2, 2. 90 and above is gated. 2, 2, check. A lot of shit in this. 2, 2, 2, check. Check, 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 check. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Looks pretty. Do you want me to restart?
No.
Okay.
No, it did a little bit, but it wasn't. I'm just like, that's gonna get annoying if it does it the whole video.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, thank you. Keep going.
Are we still recording?
Yeah. Okay, it's recorded the whole thing.
Oh, nice. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do here is talk a little bit about the inputs and the outputs on the mixer. So on the top here, we have our inputs. And on this particular mixer, we have 4 XLR inputs, and then we have 2 stereo inputs, and then a second, or a third, I should say, stereo input that's actually specifically for RCAs, giving us our 10 channels here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On the first 2 channels here, on channel 1 and 2, it gives us the option of also being able to plug in an instrument of any kind, basically. So when using this input, we want to be pressing this little button here that has conveniently a little guitar pitcher. So if you're using an acoustic guitar, you're going to want to press in this button and plug directly into the 1/4 inch input on the mixer. It's essentially the same as having a DI built right into the mixer here. Keep in mind that channels 3 and 4 do not have the same option, basically, and in a better explanation, the line level is simply if you're plugging in something like an iPod, a computer, or anything else that's sending you a line level. Our channel 5 here, which is a stereo channel, is essentially the same as channels 3 as 4. It's just built into a single channel. So if you have a stereo keyboard, for example, that has a left and a right output, you're going to plug into this stereo channel here, and then you can control it simply from a single fader. So if we were to have one microphone, for example, like this here, this SM58, we would go ahead and plug it into channel 1. And then we would go ahead and set our gain. In order to set the gain, we're going to want to be able to reference our LED lights here on the output meters. We'll do a little quick cut there. Yeah. So, reference on the output meters. Depending on which little headphone button we have pressed, that's going to indicate exactly what input is being displayed on the LEDs. If none of these are depressed, it's showing the output level of the master fader itself. So, because we're talking about this microphone here on channel 2, we're going to hit our PFL or pre-fader listen button, and then you'll see the LEDs drop out, as well as I lost the sound in my headphone, but you guys can still hear me. So, to get the gain level set correctly, let's start by raising our gain. Check, 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 2, 2, 2, hey, hey. And now, as you can probably hear, we've got 2 microphones going through this mixer. You can hear my lapel on my chest here, as well as the SM58 that's in my hand. So, rather than confuse things, I'm going to turn my lapel all the way off by turning channel 1 down. Now I will bring this channel 2 fader up, and we can once again hear the microphone that we're using. 2, 2, 2, hey, 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 check 1, 2, check 1, 2. And we can see these LEDs here peaking at around 0, which is great. If we go too far, you can see that we'll get red lights, and that's not good. So turn the gain back down, have the random peak around 0, and you're good to go from there.
At first I was like, I don't hear anything from the second mic. It's amazing how just the difference in sound between the 2 mics.
Oh, I bet, actually, yeah. And especially because I had that other one EQ'd a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm talking about... Okay, sweet. So moving on to the EQ section. Below the gain knob here, like we talked about earlier, is the guitar button if we're going to use the instrument input on the input section. Since we're using a microphone, let me get a little closer to the mic here for you. Since we're using the microphone, I'm going to hit this low cut button here that cuts all the frequencies below, I think it's around 100 hertz. It's different per mixer. Usually it says here, but on this particular mixer, it just simply says low cut, so we can assume that it's cutting anywhere between 80 and 100 hertz. So, as you can hear my voice right now, 222, 222, instantly becomes a lot cleaner with the low cut filter on. Moving below that, we have our 3-band EQ, high frequency, mid frequency, and low frequency. To demonstrate these 3, I can boost the high frequencies, 222, hey, 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 check 1, 2. The mid frequencies, 222, hey, hey, check 1, 2. And the low frequencies, 222, hey, check 1, 2. So what we can start to do to just get a little bit more fidelity out of a vocal, for example, is just raise the high frequencies just a little bit and cut the mid frequencies just a little bit. 2, 2, hey, check 1, 2. And maybe if that's too much, we can bring the mids back just a bit. Test 1, 2, 2, 2. Hey, hey, that sounds pretty good. Below our EQ section here is our auxiliary send. And this knob here is actually referring to this output up here. So if you had another speaker or something connected to this output, that's what this knob would control. Below the auxiliary, we have our effects button. And the effects button is controlling the level of effect that's sending to the mixer. We also have an effects master button right here, and that's going to actually control how much of the effect is going to the main output. I'm going to switch back to my lapel mic here just so that we have a little bit more consistency in the sound. 2, 2, 2. Hey, hey, hey. Check 1, 2, 2, 2. Hey, hey. Okay, so we're back on the lapel mic here, and I've turned the SM58 off. To demonstrate our effects, I'm going to, starting with the effects at 0, and my pan center, let's make sure we're doing this correct here. I'm going to start by putting my effects knob all the way up at 0. That means that now whatever I start bringing up in terms of effects on my channel 1 is instantly going to be heard onto the master fader. If you look on the mixer itself, you'll see a description of what effects are being, let's start that again. If you look on the mixer itself, you'll see what effects are. I know what I'm saying.
Numbers are the best part.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about the effects a little bit because, as our producer Dustin just mentioned, it's the best part. So if you look on these labels here, you'll see exactly what the mixer is capable of doing. From 0 to 10, we have delays. To 10 onwards is delay reverbs, and then echo verbs, plate reverbs, hall reverbs, etc. For this demonstration, let's go ahead and choose something awesome. So we're going to choose a flanger or a phaser, and that's between channel 70 and 80. So using this little scroll wheel here, we're just going to go all the way up to 70. And the mixer will take a second, and then it'll go to that effect. Now, as soon as I bring up this effects knob with the effects master turned up, we're going to start hearing something. 2, 2, 2, hey, 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 check 1, 2. Super awesome. So now I'm a little bit like I don't know, I want to say robot, but something like that. And then we can go even to different stuff like symphony. I don't know what that does. Okay, it does something like that. Check, hey, 1, 2. In 60, we have chorus and doublers. So going to 60, 2, hey, hey, check 1, 2. Now there's multiple of me. And again, that is controlled simply by the effects knob. Okay, now we're back to normal. Our next knob down in series here is going to be our pan knob. And as I talked about that earlier, it basically, our next knob down in the chain is our pan knob. And as I said earlier, it distributes this, holy crap. The next knob down in the chain, why do I feel like I like 2, hey, hey, no, we're okay. The next knob down in the chain is the pan knob, and that distributes the signal to the left or the right side of the mixer. For example, if I turn it to the left, you'll hear my voice go all the way to the left, and if I turn it to the right, you'll hear my voice go all the way to the right. If you're plugging in, say, a keyboard into these channels 3 and 4, rather than channel 5, which is a stereo channel, and you have the left into the channel 3 and the right into channel 4, you're going to want to pan the knobs hard left and right, respectively, so that you have a full stereo mix coming from the signal that you're sending. And that pretty much covers it for the mixer itself. As a quick summary of everything, we have our master fader here, which when zeroing out the board, we want to have it 0 and everything else in the 0 position, gain being at 0, EQ being flat, auxiliary effects being 0, pan being centered, and mix knob all the way to the 0 or infinity position. Next, we want to plug in our instrument, set our gain, our EQs, our effects, our pans, and then the actual level that we're sending to the stream itself. And from there, we can go on and actually connect the mixer to our computer.